When you were playing that record, what were you thinking?
Hello, Internet, and welcome to Take 25. My name is Luke Irvin, and here at Take 25, I will be interviewing entrepreneurs, musicians, filmmakers, artists, just creatives all around. But the one thing that we have in common is that everyone that I interview will have some sort of roots here in Arkansas. Whether that means they were born here or they have just relocated here to work on their creative projects. So very excited that you're here joining us. This is the first episode, and today I am interviewing Ben Eslick. Ben and I met at a Seed&Spark campaign where, I'm just going to be honest, he stole the show, I feel like. He got up and pitched his film idea, and just everyone fell in love with it immediately, even Mark Duplass. So he is currently working on a campaign for his film, and we sat down and had a chat about his experience with Seed&Spark and just hearing more about his story. So without further ado, I hope you enjoy this conversation between myself and Ben. Yeah, so to that note, how about we just get started kind of with your story, and then I've got a few questions after that.
Sure, yeah. So I was diagnosed with testicular cancer back in April of 2019. It was stage 2. It had spread to sort of to my lymph nodes, not like a really bad case, but definitely not. I had to do chemo and go through that whole process. And one of the things, being a creative, that just made that a little bit easier was make kind of just reflecting and documenting the experience, and kind of, in my case, just like trying to turn it into a story. So me and my, girlfriend at the time, now my fiance, we, she was there with me the whole time, and we sort of wrote this show, which it started out as a show. That was kind of the concept. And it would be, each episode sort of reflect a different stage of the cancer experience, all the way from like getting my testicle removed to going through chemo, and then, so we wrote that, and then I got better, essentially like beat the cancer. I mean, it hasn't come back, so like that's good. And but then we had this show that we had written, and really just like a pilot and like a series outline, and sat on it for about a year, didn't really do anything with it. And then the Seed&Spark conference at UCA, where I guess we initially met, that happened, and kind of just like reinvigorated the whole process. And I talked with Mark Duplass. He encouraged me to don't like completely let the show go, but just kind of shelf it and try to focus on like a feature film version of the story. And I went home that day and had one of my creative partners, who's part of has been a part of this for a while now. Her and I just like immediately started outlining this movie, and figured out, kind of how to transition some of the ideas from the show into the movie, because a lot of it's sort of universal. I mean, it's the same experience, it's just like a different format.
Right.
And so I guess a year later now, we partnered up with Marty Lang, who is kind of a crowdfunding expert. He teaches a class on crowdfunding at the University of Memphis, and he has helped us kind of get our campaign ready and going. And we had a 10 grand goal, and it, by like the beginning of this week, we surpassed that goal. We're at 12 grand now, sitting at with how much we've raised. So it's been going pretty well. I think now we've got sort of bigger stretch goals, and we're hoping to raise more. And because we're still only halfway through the campaign, so it's like might as well continue to see how much money we can raise, and just keep things, just that hopefully those will open up more doors for the story and what we can do, and that's kind of where things are at right now. So
yeah, the following the campaign journey has been wild because like we were talking about earlier, my background's in tech, so I've done campaigns for like app development projects, so I got a little bit of experience there, but man, like none of those moved as fast as yours, which is incredible.
Well, it's interesting because it's like, I think that this is a really good idea, whether we can make the film as good as the idea sounds, that's the next challenge. But
right.
But I think it works from a comedic angle, when people hear it, it sounds funny. But the last $4,000 or so that we raised for the film, we were sitting at about 7,500 for like 3 or 4 days, and the last 4,000 was actually from a testicular cancer organization.
Oh, wow.
Who we reached out to, and who just thought, really enjoyed the pitch video and just wanted to kind of help out. And so they just gave it to us, and that's what got us over the goal, so it seems like that's another kind of plus side to this idea, is that there are organizations, it's one of those films where it's like niche enough that there's organizations that would want to be part, and so of course you got to be careful with that kind of stuff too, because it's like and then you bring in more more ideas and thought, everything, but in our, I think it's pretty good. So
what's incredible with just this current state of like social media and everything is based on like my viewing, because I'm following so much news now. Typically within a 24-hour window, whatever I'm researching, I'm going to start seeing like ads related to it. So kind of checking in on your campaign and seeing what's going on so much, I'm seeing ads for other people sharing similar stories.
Oh, really?
But it's usually related to products, right?
Yeah.
So, and that may be a goal for you. I know one of them that I saw, to see if I can find you the celebrity and send it your way. But it was basically an ad for like Manscaped. But it was someone that's saying they went through this, and they're using this product now, and kind of funny like that.
Yeah. No, that would actually, I think that's kind of our next goal is
going after sponsored
like brands.
Yeah.
Like if we could get, because that's the thing. I mean, we're going to have to use medical equipment for the film. So find somebody who is interested in having their blood pressure machines, or their there's all kinds of things that weird sort of hospital doohickeys that like you would want. You'd either have to, I guess, pay for and just like cover up the company's logos, or you could just find somebody and partner up with them, which I'm learning a lot about that. Like I didn't realize that was even a possibility until we've started reaching out to these different people, that it benefits everybody. So
even to that note, it kind of goes with the power of networking as well. If you know the right person who may have a relative that's a doctor and can kind of be that in way. But I may actually we'll talk after, I may have a lead for you that'll get you on that path.
Cool.
But I would think if you could partner with a hospital, I guess the goal would be getting with their PR, their advertisement department, and kind of go from there. But I may have someone for you, so we'll talk after about that.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah. So that's crazy. So I do want to rewind a little bit, because I'm always curious on story. So when all of this started, were you in college at the time?
No, I was 24
Mhm.
when so past that sort of phase in my life. Um I only went to a year of college. I'm actually technically a dropout.
Mhm.
So but yeah, so it was like 24, I think, was when I
Mhm.
was officially diagnosed.
Okay. Um, were you working on anything creative at the time, or have you worked on a film project before this one?
So for a number of years I was in a band, and I actually, when I was going through cancer, we made an album and put it out, later at the beginning of like 2020. Um and About kind of that experience. And that was sort of the main creative thing I was working on at that time. As far as like films, I've never done a feature, but I have made quite a few music videos,
Mhm.
and a few shorts. So we've I did the 48-hour film fest in Little
Mhm.
Rock this last year, and have done a couple of different projects over the years, like sort of shorts between 5 and 10 minute sort of style things, and I also do a little bit of animation, so I've kind of got a few things on that. Nothing that I've like entered into a festival or anything,
Mhm.
but just some different projects I've kind of put out there here and there.
Yeah. Any of those public? Like, can people go check them out or?
Yeah, actually.
Nice.
The the animated music video that I made most recently was for a friend of mine who's got a music project called Dual Ranger. Um, it's like Duel and then Ranger. Um, and it was just sort of a like a water ocean boats kind of style. Yeah, that's not a very good description, but uh, but it's for a song called "Sinkable Ship," and then as far as like other uh, music videos, I've done quite a few things for my band Couch Jackets.
Mhm.
We're actually no longer a band, but there's quite a few. Most of our music videos I actually had made, so any number of ones that have like a narrative to them,
Yeah.
they're probably mine. um,
Nice.
and then for our short, the 48-hour film fest, our most recent one was this short called Uncle Man. um, and it had Barry Clifton is
Mhm.
starring in it. He's kind of a Little Rock
Mhm.
um, known kind of guy, and we did pretty well. We actually won the this year for that one, so it went on to Filmapalooza, and
Mhm.
I think you can view that one on Vimeo.
Okay.
Uh, so
That's really cool. Yeah, I've known about Fallen like 48 and the Made in Arkansas and a few others. So hopefully in the next couple of years I can do something.
yeah,
I definitely want
oh, it's
to.
great, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 48 is a ton of fun, especially
Mhm.
if you have like if you can get kind of a team together.
Yeah. And
And the real spirit of that one, is to like really just try to come up with it all on the spot. That's what makes it so
yeah.
much fun, I think, is like, because you could go in with sort of a pre-idea, but you
Mhm.
have to draw categories.
Okay.
So if you've got like a pre-idea, you have to sort of like make that fit that in and sort of have to make it work with the
Mhm.
categories, which in our experience, it was just more fun to sort of like, what ridiculous things can we all come up with no sleep in this
Mhm.
and afternoon, and everybody's just throwing out ideas, and that's the real, it's just a blast if
Yeah.
you
Oh,
can do it
that
that
sounds
way.
like so much fun. It seems like it's modeled similar to like a startup weekend. So I don't know if you're familiar with that or been to one of those.
I don't think so. So you're talking tech startup.
Yeah,
right?
it's usually tech focused, but it could be something else. I mean, I've seen people do not really like actually like building a website or building an app, but kind of think of like other creative ideas. But yeah, it's like you basically you come in with an idea and you pitch it in 1 minute. And the opening is like everyone can do that, right? So you could potentially have 30 ideas. And then as a collective whole, you kind of choose like the top 8 or whatever. And then from that, you kind of form teams. So you kind of go with wherever your passion kind of draws based on them. And then, then you literally have a weekend to kind of build something and then show it. And, some cases, some people may actually go get a customer. Or they can just kind of prove the model, and then and then at the end you get prizes and stuff. So
nice.
The goal of that is
that sounds like a ton of fun.
Yeah, so I mean, similar outcomes, I would think. I'm sure the goal of a 48-hour film fest is hopefully that team works well together and they can actually kind of keep moving forward to create their film. Startup, you actually would go and do the startup and maybe make a business. So
yeah. Sorry,
really,
my dog.
No, you're good. Cool. So let's jump back forward a little bit. And what was the process like with Seed&Spark as you were kind of reflect? Because I know you're still going through it, but just with the time you spend on it, what have been like some of the learning curves? Is there any 1 or 2 things you could highlight for anyone that's looking to do a campaign that they would really need to know?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just such an interesting process because, like, I guess in our case, we did a lot of sort of building on the front end, like before the campaign actually started. And I've seen a few, projects that have really kind of lofty goals, but they just don't have the sort of initial support to kind of get them to the next phase. And so I mean, I think like one, having a realistic goal of what you can earn is a big thing, because you don't need a huge support system to make a good movie. And I also don't think you necessarily need a ton of money to make a good movie. You just need to understand kind of what kind of movie you're making and what you need for it. But then also like trying to, I mean, being completely honest, I didn't know how it was going to go. I didn't know if we were going to put this thing out there and get, $200 in the first week. And then it's like, what are we going to do? This is insane. Like I had no idea. But luckily we had a pretty big team too, kind of going into it. So I think that helped a lot because, like, one of our co-collaborators with it knew somebody who was this patron who was just looking to support projects, and he ended up giving us $2,500 like on the second day. Awesome. And suddenly we've got all of our friends and kind of collectively, and we make it, we brush past 1,000, and it's like, oh, that's really great. And then just out of nowhere, boom, 2,500, we're up to like 4,000, and it's like, that's insane. It's only day 2. And then I mean, I think as well, like we did a lot of, I guess you would call it like, I guess just like research on what we would like, who might want to be involved, why they would want to be involved, why we would reach out to them, what's like attainable. And that was kind of what got us over the goal. So like having a good team, a good support system, and a good sort of network on the onset to get you like over the halfway point, and then having a plan set in stone, once that sort of tapers off to, okay, this is who we can reach out to, and this is who we can reach out to, and maybe there could be some ongoing, contributions with this. And luckily in our case, with testicular cancer, there are lots of those kinds of organizations. I mean, they're just, there's several. There's like like 10. So it's like you
Yeah.
just send each one an email and hope they respond and hope they like what you have, I guess.
Yep. All right. So we've got like about 5 more minutes.
Okay.
So if I'm understanding this right, you've gone past your goal in Seed&Spark, but they
Mhm.
allow you to do that. Do you have to make any kind of back end changes, or it's like even if you go past your goal, you would get, that extra?
Yeah, as far as I know, yeah, you can keep going. I mean,
Mhm.
you can raise as much money as you want, as long as it's like within the allotted time that you
Right.
set. Um, the way Seed&Spark is set up is you can have you like set between like a month and 2 months. I think that
Mhm.
kind of the limit area. We just went with a month. Not really
Mhm.
sure why we did that, but that's what we did. And then the way they kind of works is if you reach 80%, you get to keep all of it.
Mhm.
Um, and then yeah, I mean, after you pass your goal, you just want to establish like, okay, now we want to raise this much,
Yeah.
and this is what that money would go to.
Mhm.
There's a whole budget section.
Mhm.
You want to lay out, okay, this is why we want this much money, like
Right.
this
Right.
is going towards. So
Nice.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's just like, yeah, I think it's a really cool framework, especially like with independent film. I mean, I think the big difference is that Seed&Spark, that is their bread and butter.
Mhm.
Um, with like Kickstarter and GoFundMe and stuff, those are just super. You just do anything. You don't have to. They're
Right.
not
Right.
films.
Yeah, I do like the niche
Yeah,
approach of doing that. Yeah.
yeah.
Great. So once the campaign reaches its end, is there anything you can share with us? Like, what are the next steps?
So I think the immediate next step is to start the casting process.
Mhm.
Um, we've got quite a few roles to fill, and uh, so there's that. And then I think after that, it's sort of like the pre-production, making sure we have all of our settings in place and all of our props, and just like having everything ready to go so that whenever we actually make a production schedule, we don't run into any hiccups there. And then yeah, just make the film after that. Make sure the script is good.
Mhm.
I'm still tweaking, I guess, when it comes to that. So
Yeah. Nice. Nice. Well, man, that's awesome. So I guess we got a few minutes left before our recording is scheduled to end.
okay,
I'm curious to see like what I haven't used Zoom in a while, so I don't know what happens when it actually stops. But
it just shuts off.
I don't know if it
Like,
just shuts off, but hopefully not, because I just want to kind of like keep chatting for a few more minutes after. But yeah, so
yeah,
that's awesome, man. I've enjoyed hearing your story and hearing this process. It's like crazy. I'm so happy just seeing how fast this is moving, and like I
thanks,
just
man.
really want to support other filmmakers, and it's just so much fun. So
Yeah.
where can people follow the journey? And like,
So
are
we've
you
got
going to be doing anything? So like once the campaign is over, are you going to be doing any like content related things before the actual film or related to it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we really want to make sure we keep people updated and continue to sort of release stuff and keep people excited. And the social media side of things is not like, I'm not great at it, but it's just like a part of it.
Mhm.
So I think we're just, hopefully after that point, like, we'll just keep pushing and trying to get more people interested. I don't see there's no, with the campaign ending, it's just the crowdfunding part of the process ends there, but all of the other, that doesn't mean that we can't continue to reach out to organizations and
Mhm.
brands and continue to go along sort of the pre-production journey of that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, where can people go to follow?
Right. Sorry. So we're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We're on YouTube, and then we have the actual Seed&Spark campaign link, which is at www.seed&spark.com/fund/Uniball. That is where you can donate or contribute. And then everywhere else it's just Uniball movie. You just look up Uniball movie. We've got we're pretty active on Instagram. That's kind of our most active one, but Twitter as well. We try to keep pretty updated on there. Facebook not as much, just because it's a little bit harder to like in the late stages of Facebook, it's harder to kind of get the word out about things. But yeah, so that's what we are. That's where we are. So at movie,
nice,
any platform you can find us.
All right. Thank you so much for taking your time to either watch or listen to my conversation with Ben. Any of the links that were mentioned will be in the description or show notes below. So I do encourage you, please go help support his film. Please go follow him on any of the social media accounts, and feel free to follow me on my social media account. As I grow this podcast, I will be expanding the social media accounts, but everything will be in the links below. If you made it this far, I would love to know, did you listen to this or did you watch this on YouTube? I'm just curious to see where the audience is. So please tweet me and let me know where you saw this first episode. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.
In 2010, thought I was doing something. And now I'm rapping with a crew or something. I guess the track don't really stick unless he's gluing something. And I never fit the shoe until I do it something. Yo.